I think there are auteurs, prodigies, and then other filmmakers. This is kind of my definition and view of Hollywood, so let me just kind of roll with it. The auteurs are lovers of previous cinema who use old fish like Bourdain, slap a little bit of flavor to the material by manipulating several ingredients, and create a brand new recipe that entertains the masses. These are the Brian De Palmas, Martin Scorsese's, Quentin Tarantino's, and Paul Thomas Anderson's. They're all geniuses but are heavily inspired by the beauty of cinema. This is not a knock on their work by any means. The prodigies are the ones who create new worlds. There is no real prior reference for their work, and sometimes their work really doesn't age. These are the Steven Spielbergs, Christopher Nolans, these are the David Finchers, and I'll even throw in George Lucas. Lastly comes all the other filmmakers, who by the way are so brilliant and can still be very successful. Anybody who has managed to capture a movie on screen and sell it as a consumer product to the public is a genius. Since the origin of the NBA, only 5,000 plus players have stepped on an NBA court. So Brian Scalabrine should be revered as a unicorn because he is closer to LeBron than we are to him. Listen, I understand I didn't name a few filmmakers. There's Alfred Hitchcock, there's Michael Mann, Francis Ford Coppola, Sidney Lumet, Sidney Pollack, Ari Aster, Stanley Kubrick, Christopher McQuarrie, etc. You can create a chart and place them all in these three categories. But you do have to understand that I was born in 93. If you guys give a shit enough about my work, I promise you I'll create this chart. What is the point of this prologue? I think AI is going to beat, if not compete with most of these filmmakers. The prodigies? No way. Any producer can write them a blank check and they'll be alright. But the auteurs, AI is going to get pretty good at producing an amalgamation of old content. Enough permutations can make it just entertaining enough to sell and possibly even produce a machine version of Pulp Fiction. I think technically that Babylon is Chazelle's tribute to Goodfellas in my humble opinion. But what about Whiplash? I think that's something else. Hold that thought for a sec. The other filmmakers, oh boy, you guys are in for a rough ride. Sleek action thrillers, yeah, I think a software can create a much better version of a Bond or a Bourne. A machine can combine mob content to produce a gangster story much better than the Ultonites, even though I ride with that movie. Without Tom Cruise doing his own stunts, a better Mission Impossible can probably be created because nobody really understands those fucking plots of those spy movies anyways. I wouldn't say that movies like The Den of Thieves is better than Heat or The Town, but the story revolving around the deranged cop versus the calculative robber can evolve and still be quite captivating. I can keep going with this, by the way. Now let's get back to Whiplash. This is the way we beat AI. Colloquialism. Extraordinary circumstances, yes, but the characters are just normal. They're just pawns, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. J.K. Simmons plays a guy that would get canceled today, but you can totally picture that failed musician running a riot in Stanford or Columbia. I think Miles Teller beautifully plays a tortured artist who cannot follow the rules of society to be successful and would rather get really good at banging drums. AI cannot experience anything new. It spits out the manipulated data we feed it. Now, I understand in the future these algorithms can get more sophisticated, but for now, a strong adherence to showing new but realistic experiences and slapping a little bit of A1 sauce on it can go a long way. A little bit of honesty in which characters would actually react to the current situation can really make a difference instead of having the one-legged rock climb a skyscraper. Enough with the Shakespeares, let's get Hitchcock's everyday man back on screen and try our best to appreciate it. Let's try to understand the unique, if I'm being polite, weird, if I'm being accurate, qualities of Friends, and try to put that person as a hero in the Nakatomi Plaza. It's the writer's choice on whether he or she wins or loses, but let's worry less about looking suave or lustrous. You do not need to give every character a redemption arc, and sometimes losers can be winners on screen, such as my man Miles from Sideways. How much of a disaster would it have been if Alexander Payne casted Clooney instead of Giamatti in Sideways? Michael Mann should be casting me as a hacker in Black Hat instead of Chris Hemsworth. Okay, maybe I took that a bit too far. If you're a writer or a filmmaker, go out there and put yourselves in unique situations. Safely, of course. It's hard to beat AI making a movie of Dickie Greenleaf turning into James Bond, but what would Tom Ripley do during the tech boom? Oh wait, did I just do what AI did? I don't know, man. I don't have it all figured out, but don't shoot the messenger.